So
Yeah.
Disney is officially under investigation from the FCC. Bob Iger
Yep.
has been named. They are officially under investigation by the FCC. Do you want to break this down a bit more, Culture, for everyone?
So Trump appointed a new FCC chairman. His name's Brendan Carr, as you can see from the headlines. But Carr has taken it as a mandate from the president to enforce his executive order and go after the people who are breaking the law, which the Supreme Court only last year said you cannot have, the preferential treatment people. You can't go out and, give people an advantage because of their immutables. So Brendan Carr is investigating Disney for their rampant abuse of being racist in their hiring, amongst other things. So equal employment opportunity violations aplenty there based on just the Reimagine Tomorrow agenda alone. Specifically, DEI programs that do not align with the law. Disney has tried to rename said programs and even the positions that people hold. And the FCC is currently the FCC has currently placed Disney under investigation. And as we know, anytime there's a federal government investigation here in the States, they're going to just pull a bunch of threads. And one of the things that I think will happen is pulling those threads will reveal more problems inside of Disney. So the Federal Communications Commission has the authority to actually pull broadcast licensees and refer criminal violations to the Department of Justice. Not to mention, place their own sanctions on the Disney company, which could be rather severe. If Disney were to lose their broadcast licensees, they would lose the ability to send broadcast television from 6 stations they own. I think it's 6. And the affiliates that Disney has across the country, and there are many, would likely have to find somewhere else to get their ability to broadcast stuff from.
I mean, this is a pretty scathing part of his letter. He wrote this to Bob Iger.
Yeah.
For decades, Disney focused on churning out box office and programming successes.
Yep.
But then something changed. Disney has now been embroiled in rounds of controversy surrounding its DEI policies.
Yep. And what's fascinating is the FCC actually cites the work done by that Park Place and its journalists.
So literally the FCC cites a friend of the channel and also our contributor Thursday contributor here on the Hcast. In this, literally here, that Park Place. Here.
Cool.
Yep. And by the way, that Park Place has now been officially relisted as a news source on Google as of today.
Oh, that's cool.
So we were before, and then somebody said something in a silly think piece. And yeah. But I'm very excited. So regardless, the FCC cited that Park Place. But when you look at what's going on in this is a very serious matter that Disney cannot afford. They're literally all of their pillars are falling down at once. If they lose their broadcast license, that's a shockwave. That's a public nightmare PR wise that there's no going back. So, and that means ABC would be in trouble. A lot of people are trying to claim that the FCC has no say in anything that's on cable. Well, we're about to find out, because I have a feeling that there's plenty they have to say about things that are put on cable, because no matter what, you still have to have a license. So we'll see how that goes about being resolved. This is not good. And the FCC regulates an awful lot, including, cell phones and other things.
So. Yeah, I mean, so for my 2 cents on this, I'm not for more government control. Like, I'm just not, right? Like, I'm just not at all. I'm so sick of governments in people's lives. I'm so sick of it, especially here in the UK. It's just a joke.
Yeah, I sent your pal.
They hate you. They're not your friends. They hate you. They don't make anything better at all. They are just parasites. Unequivocal, just parasites. That's quite literally what a government is. It just takes. It provides very little for the people. So I'm not for government overreach at all. But the FCC investigating Disney, you might be a private company, but they're a private company doing racist and sexist things. So if you're going to have like laws against this kind of stuff, they need to be enforced. So as much as I'm against governments, involving themselves in anything and everything, this is probably a good use of government time or regulatory time, I think, quite frankly. And yeah, Bob Iger needs to just go, mate. Just go. His whole his career will be tarnished with these last few years when he came back. So yeah, fun times. Just another in the many things that Disney is up for at the moment. It's just how many things? All the things.
Yeah.
It's mad. It's madness. Go on, Bo. What do you reckon of this?
Oh, well, earlier on there was a super chat about what we're looking forward to. It's obviously not a movie or TV. I'm looking forward to the Gina Carano case.
Yes, I think it's in May, isn't it?
Big time. I honestly hope that. I agree with you, Nate. I'm for small government. I wouldn't say I'm a true libertarian, but I've got libertarian leanings. I'm certainly conservative with a small c. I'd like to see smaller government. I don't like to see censorship, state censorship. But nonetheless, if there's a company that's breaking laws, well, I mean, that is the point of the state, first and foremost, is to enforce laws, to keep people safe or whatever. I mean, that itself can and has been subverted. But nonetheless, if Disney are, like some sort of full-blown criminal enterprise on whatever level, take them down, destroy them. It'd be good. It'd be funny. I'd love to see Disney entirely collapse and implode. That would be hilarious to me. I'm honestly looking forward to the Gina Carano stuff happening.
You guys should try and cover that on the podcast. I think that'd make for a fun.
I might do, yeah. I mean, over at Load Seaters, the presenters are allowed to pick within reason whatever you want on any given day. So yeah, if and when there's a good Carano day, I will. I'll do something on it.
Well, recently Disney tried to take a shot at her, Bo, just to add to that pile, trying to rewrite history around her MMA career. She was one of the people that made it possible to get female fighting in the MMA into the UFC. She also had one of the most watched and appreciated fights in the early women's MMA. I think when she fought Chris Cyborg. The Cyborg fight with her was legendary. Yeah. And the two promotions she was in Elite XC and Strike Force. She also was a leader in women's MMA because she came out of Muay Thai. She's a professional combat Muay Thai fighter with a 15-1-1 record. So you're talking about a very impressive woman who could have taken a much easier road because her family had a background in professional athletics and casinos. Most people don't know her background. So there's a lot there to cover. And Disney's ESPN tried to erase her, not including her in the top 10 women in the sport. Did a video on that.
Injustice, so unfair.
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't fancy. Sorry. Just what I say. I wouldn't fancy fighting Chris Cyborg. Genuinely, right. I'm not scared of Ronda Rousey. I feel like her hip throw wouldn't work. I'm not scared of her striking. Chris Cyborg, I would be. I'd honestly be scared. Don't mind admitting.
Nick, obviously this is the only segment you're on now, but what do you think about all of this FCC investigation into Disney?
I saw this coming a mile away as soon as Trump got elected, and said he was getting rid of all the DEI and woke stuff. I mean, you pretty much, I think pretty much within, didn't he sign that executive order like the first week? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, pretty much.
He was taking, but the thing is, DEI was already illegal in this country. Yeah. So even before any of that happened, these companies were breaking the law by hiring based on race, sex, sexual orientation. And there is plenty of examples out there for Disney and a lot of other companies too, where they have done this and broken the law. And I hope they pay the price for it. But, you know, I knew as soon as they got rid of the DEI stuff and the departments and the labeling of that, they were just going to repackage it and still do the same thing. And I'm pretty sure they have been, and you know they'll pay the penalty for it. But Disney is a terrible, terrible company, and it's run by terrible, terrible people. That whole executive group over there needs to be dozed. No telling where money's going in there. I mean, nobody still knows what happened to all the money for that the Acolyte had in its budget. Because you definitely don't see it on screen. So I'm sure there's some funny business going on, you know, and Elon was talking about this last week. How do these politicians, and this goes for high up execs in large corporations and companies too, but how does somebody making $200,000 a year now worth $32 million? How does that work? You know, and it's always these politicians and these corporate executives, you know, that they shouldn't, you know, before they're in that position, their net worth is, you know, a normal acceptable range, and then they get in these positions and their salary goes up, you know, a couple $100,000, but that's it. But then all of a sudden, after a couple of years, they're multi-millionaires. Well, where's all this money coming from for these politicians and these executives? Yeah, apparently Elon and the Doge team's going to be looking into that. The FCC is going to be looking into all this stuff with Disney, and not just Disney. They're probably going to be looking at this at several different companies out there.
The first one, Nick, was was Comcast. That was the first one.
That's right. Yeah, Comcast. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to watch unfold. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope they all pay the penalty for it, and they are forced. Which I'm with you guys. I hate government and stuff. I wish they would get out of a lot of the private sector in our lives, but for fairness for the people out here, I mean, I think that there has to be some you know, government oversight, you know, or some sort of oversight to make things fair for people. Because you know, we had an ex-Disney employee on our channel that we interviewed, who was, you know, at the top of his department, that was fired and was told by the HR admin, who was a friend of his, that on record, his performance and anything's great. Off record, he was being fired because he's a white guy.
Yeah, I remember that. Mental. Absolutely mental. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Right, well, there you go. We will shuffle on from this. Got